Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is July 3rd, 2024, and we are getting into the volume 219 of me answering your immigration related questions. As always, before beginning this video, I'm going to mention, as I mentioned in every video on this channel, I am not an immigration attorney. This is not legal advice. All the information provided in these videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS, Department of State, of course, with their visa bulletin, and occasionally we use the list of all the embassies from usembassy.gov. So let's start with the very first question from TJT0314. Hi, I'm from Philippines. Priority date February 2021, documentarily qualified January 2022, case F2A. Question: how long will it take for my interview to be scheduled? Alright, TJT, thank you for the question. Let's take a look at the visa bulletin for Philippines, see what's going on. I'm pretty sure Philippines is current with the rest of the world whenever it comes to the F2A. Yes, November 15, 21. November 15, 21. Alright, and you are already documentarily qualified, which is definitely great news. So you are priority date in February 2021. Okay, so you are in February 21 and we are already on November 2021. So you have been current for some time now, which is definitely great news, which means that your visa has been available. But the thing is, with the Philippines, you know, it has a separate chargeability area for a reason. The wait time for the interviews is quite long. As far as I can tell from the comments from people from Philippines that are commenting on this channel, asking questions, it seems to be about 2.5 year wait for the interview after the immigrant visa becomes available. So depending on how long you have been current on the visa bulletin. Now, as of right now, it looks like, let's see, February is month number 2, November is number 10, so about 8 months. The thing is, visa bulletin doesn't move 1 month every month, so you could have been current for longer, you could have been current less. But let's assume that you have been current for 6 months on the Graph A visa bulletin. That means that your immigrant visa has been available for 6 months. That means that you have been scheduled, the interview has been scheduled now for about 6 months. So considering that there is 2.5 years wait, potentially you're looking at another 1.5 years, 2 years to be actually scheduled. Now, if you have been waiting for at least 3-4 months, I would recommend reaching out to the US Embassy in Manila, Philippines. Most of the times that's where all the interviews are scheduled, but let's see if they do have any other locations in Philippines. I don't remember. Let's take a look. So Philippines. Nope, looks like just in Manila, and this is their phone number. Just be polite, be professional, and say, hey, I've been already documentarily qualified. I've been current on the visa bulletin for however long you've been current, and say that you're, want to find out when your interview was scheduled for. The thing is, your interview has been already scheduled. You're just not going to find out until 30 days before the actual interview date. So let's say your interview has been scheduled for July 2026. You're not going to find out until June 2026. Sometimes they do it 60 days before, but most of the times it's 30 days. So let me post the response to your comment, and I'm gonna give you the link for this. And it's a very rough estimate because a lot of this delay, especially for the interviews to be scheduled for everyone who's watching, as of right now means as of right now. But a lot of this delay, especially with the scheduling of the interviews in the US embassies around the world, has been caused by the closures. I know it's been a while, but still, they're still catching up because of these closures. Embassies were completely closed. There were no interviews for like at least a year, I think. I don't remember exactly, but at least a year. So imagine all of that delay on top of the visa bulletin backlog. So that's why we are experiencing that. But on the plus side, now that everything is back up and running, they will be catching up. So this delay technically with US embassies, not with the backlog, because backlog is a little bit of a different story, the visa backlog, the visa bulletin, what we're looking at. But the interviews, the scheduling of the interviews, they should be catching up, theoretically. All right, let's move on to the next one from History Now 162. Hello, I hope you're doing great. Thank you. My grandmother filed Form I-130 for my dad back in 2015 when I was 19 years of age, and my name was added to the petition as his son. Will the immigrant's visa be extended to me when it becomes available now that I'm above 21? Okay, History Now, thank you for asking. Great question. So I'm assuming that your grandmother, she was a US citizen when she petitioned for her son, your dad. So he is in F1 category. And you were 19 years when back in 2015. That means as of 2024, sorry, my math is not very good. So 9 years. So now you're around 28, if I'm correct. Sorry again, my math is horrendous. So roughly you're 28. So here's the thing. Whenever it comes to the CSPA, Child Status Protection Act, that's the only thing there is out there that protects the child status. That's really what it is for. And basically, it is a certain period of time while waiting that you can subtract from your current age on the day of the interview. And if it brings you down under 21, then you are considered as child still under CSPA, and you will be as a derivative beneficiary on the application. Here's the thing, however, most of the times, because the only period of time that you can subtract is the amount of time the application was pending with USCIS. So the I-130, the initial I-130 that was filed with USCIS, however long that was pending, and it really is, you need to look at the papers. So you would have to look, you would have to ask your grandmother to pull up the original receipt date that she received the receipt notice from USCIS saying, hey, we have received your I-130. That's the date number one that you're gonna need. The date number two is you're gonna need the last notice that she received from USCIS saying, hey, we have approved your I-130 and we are now transferring it to the NVC for further processing. So this date one and date two, so you subtract the date one from date two, and that period of time, which is most of the times, depending on which category, again, it's hard to tell how long it was back in, around 2015, 2016, 2017. The applications could have been pending for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years. That's why you need to take a look at that. But with all of that being said, I don't think that no matter how long you get, you're gonna get how long you need. You were 19 and you're now 28, so you would need to subtract more than 7 years. I don't think you're gonna have 7 years, because usually in F1, the I-130s, they don't stay pending for that long. But still, you want to take a look, you want to make sure, and if you don't qualify under CSPA, that means you won't be able to be part of the application anymore on the date of interview. So you're not gonna go as a derivative beneficiary, which means that it's time for you to start looking for other avenues. Obviously, there is always an option for your dad to get his immigrant visa, to come into the US and then file another petition for you. Again, that's going to be additional time. So if you can find something that is, in the meantime, student visa, exchange visitor visa, that would definitely help. That would make the process easier. All right, so let me post the response and we're going to move on to the next question from Leto Moses 5532. Is embassy working with PD or DQ date? So priority date or documentarily qualified date. Guyana Embassy, priority date 8 September 2015, documentarily qualified 8 May 2023. Leto Moses, thank you for asking the question. That is a really good question. So, there is situations where it is one and there is situations where it is another one. Whenever we are dealing with immediate relative categories, that as soon as the I-130 is approved, the immigrant visa is already available. So we are not dealing with the visa backlog. We are not dealing with the visa bulletin at all, because it is immediate relative category, which means it does not fall under this 226,000 limitation. So we are not dealing with any of that whatsoever. All right. Whenever it is the case, we are looking at the documentarily qualified date. That's the date that is important, because once you are documentarily qualified, your immigrant visa was already available. Once the I-130 was approved, once you're documentarily qualified, the case is transferred to the US Embassy. And because the immigrant visa is already available, they schedule the interview right away. Doesn't mean that they schedule interview, right away and you get the date, but they schedule it up until when the line of the interview, depending how busy the US Embassy is. If it's, some of the US embassies, they are, like Manila, Philippines, for example, 2.5 years. Some smaller countries where the immigration flow, the immigration traffic is not as heavy, can be 6 months, 9 months, a year. On average, it seems to be about year and a half around the world. Heavier immigration traffic countries, 2.5 years. Less heavy, 9 months, a year seems to be appropriate. But here we're looking at the documentary qualification date, because once you're documentarily qualified, that's it. It is transferred to the US Embassy and they schedule the interview. Now, if we're looking at one of the 4 family preference categories where that is dealing with the backlog, where the immigrant visa is not immediately available, in that case, yes, we are looking at the priority date, because even when you are documentarily qualified, a lot of times your immigrant visa is still not available. You still have to wait for the priority date to become current on the visa bulletin. That's what we are looking at. And only once it becomes current on the visa bulletin, that's when the US Embassy schedules the interview. And again, you have to do the waiting for the interview, because depending on how busy the US Embassy is. But yes, so we are looking at both, depending on what we're dealing with. In your case, your priority date is back in September 2015. So you have been waiting for quite a long time now. So that tells me that you're in one of the 4 family preference categories. You didn't specify which one, and I'm definitely gonna need that in order to give you better estimates. But since you have been recently documentarily qualified, I am assuming that you are in F1 category, because that would make sense, because we have F1 right now on October 2015, and people right around September, October 2015, they have been now documentarily qualified for over about a year, just over a year, just like you are. So if you're not an F1, please let me know and I will give you different estimates. But if you are looking at F1, you are in September 2015. Visa bulletin is on October 2015, which means you have roughly 1 more month to become current on the visa bulletin. Once you are current on the visa bulletin, the interview is scheduled. So potentially August 2024 visa bulletin, hopefully you will be current. Hopefully we will see the movement for everyone, honestly. But yes, for you right now, it's very important to pay attention to the visa bulletin. All right, so let me post a response and we're going to move on to the next question from Karen Miller. Sorry for mispronouncing the name. Can you combine the work permit renewal with the travel authorization renewal when you're doing it online? Great question, Karen. Thank you for asking. So, as one application package, no, because, well, I mean, you can when you're filing it by mail, which I would not recommend because it would take more time. And honestly, I would not recommend combining applications like this that are not necessarily related. Let's just say that, because you have a work permit, quite a separate application, and then the travel authorization renewal is quite a different application as well. You can send them in one envelope, but honestly, probably would be better off sending them in 2 separate envelopes, just to be on the safe side. You combine the applications when they are related, like for example I-130 with I-485, I-485 with I-765, And what else can we combine? Oh, like any of the applications that you are requesting the fee waiver on, that would definitely be directly related. So yeah, you are sending it as one application package. But yeah, you don't want to cause the confusion. Now, that was for everyone who's trying to send it by mail. But in your case, you're doing it online, so it's not going to matter anyway, because you will be filling out the I-765 separately in your USCIS online portal, and then once you're done, you will be filling out the travel authorization. Now, there is an option to fill out an application, leave it, and then fill out another application, and then once you're done with both, pay for both of them. That you can definitely do. Absolutely, that's not going to be a problem, because once you pay, it sends the applications to appropriate processing centers for further processing. So yeah, that you can definitely do. So hopefully I answered your question. If you have any follow-up questions, don't hesitate to ask. Let's move on to the next one from Anthony Montoya 880. I have filed I-130 for my wife. When I had checked the status, it had said 5 months for a decision. Then a few days ago it said 4 months for a decision, and now it's back to 5 months. Would you know why it would say that? Anthony, thank you very much for your question. So I'm assuming you're referring to the processing times on USCIS website. And honestly, USCIS website, whenever it comes to I-130s, specifically whenever it comes to I-130s, practically useless. Just being honest, practically useless, specifically for I-130. For anything else, really, I-765, I-485, I-730, whatever it is, your N400, yes, it's very helpful information. You can look at the processing times, you can estimate, makes sense. But because for I-130 there is so much other stuff that is involved, there is the NVC processing, there is the visa bulletin that we're dealing with, it's practically useless to look at the USCIS website for processing times, because it might say, yeah, let's say 5 months, and you know, even if they do approve it, they send it to NVC for documentary qualification process, but you're still waiting for the NVC portal to open up, because, well, you're waiting for the visa bulletin. Unless, of course, you're a US citizen. In that case, your wife is going to be in immediate relative category. So once the I-130 will be approved, then the immigrant visa is already available. But still, with the I-130 processing times, from what at least from my personal experience filing the I-130s, and of course from what I see other people saying about the processing times, they are, to the best, they're not correct. So yeah, I wouldn't even look at it at all. Yeah, pretty much pointless, unfortunately. All right, let's move on to the next one. And from Yaya Brown says, hello Yaya Brown. Moving further to JQC Health Fit. What is the point of filing action where current F2A versus final action? Filing action. Point of filing action versus final action. Okay, I'm assuming you're referring to the two graphs. Final action and dates for filing. I'm assuming that's what you're referring to. So the graph B, dates for filing, they show when the NVC portal is going to be opening up. So let's say you're in you're in F2A category. So you're in F2A category, right? And you have filed back in, say, December 2023, your petition for your spouse or your child under 21, and you're a permanent resident, and you're from Old Churchability area. If we look at the graph B, that will tell us when the NVC portal is going to be opening up. And as of right now, technically your portal should be closed because you're in December 2023 and graph B is on November 2023, which means you're 1 month away from the NVC portal opening up so that you can start your documentary qualification process. That's what graph B tells us. Now, once you are documentarily qualified, or if you want to see the full length, how long you will be waiting, rough estimates of course, for the availability of the immigrant visa, then we are looking at the graph A. So again, assuming that you are in December 2023, your priority date, judging by the graph A, final action dates, F2A is on November 2021. So you have roughly 2 years before your immigrant visa becomes available. That's really just an example. So I don't remember what your priority date was, JQC. I'm sure that I have already given you the estimate, but yes, that is the difference between the graph A and the graph B on the visa bulletin. All right, let's move on to the next one from Leo Cruzman 77. Hi, I am on A03 category refugee and I want to renew my EAD as it will expire after less than 4 months. Can I file online or should submit paper application? Do I need fee waiver application also? I already applied to adjustment of status form I-485 and I have done biometrics and it was added to my status. Awesome. Thank you very much. Leo Cruz, thank you for asking. So, great question. Here's the thing. I would look at how long ago you filed your I-765. I would check the processing times on USCIS, and if you are pretty close, because you still have about 4 months of your EAD, because once your I-485 is approved, that's it. You're a permanent resident. You don't need the employment authorization. So you might not even need to worry about filing it if you are pretty close to your application being approved, your I-485 application being approved. Now, if there is still time and you don't know how long it's going to take, maybe there's another 6 months, maybe there's another year according to the processing times on USCIS website. Yes, in that case, absolutely, you can file the I-765 online. If I remember correctly, you can double check on I-765 instructions. There is no fee for the A03 category whenever you are filing for the renewal of the EAD. So you don't need, when there is no fee already, you don't need to file separate fee waiver for the form. So you can just go online, fill it out. Once you select the category A03, it already should automatically waive the fee and not charge you anything once you submit the application. So yeah, I would definitely recommend doing it online because it will tell you that you don't need to file a fee, and will be easier, much faster process. But just in case, if there is a fee, if I don't know something or they change something about the fee schedule, which they always do, if there is a fee and obviously you want the fee waived, yes, in that scenario, you definitely do need to file the EAD application by mail, because that's the only way as of right now to request a fee waiver with any of the applications that you're submitting, because you would have to put it on top of your I-765 application in the mail and send it in. All right, let me post a response and we're gonna move on to the next question from Candy Sierra 2081. Thank you a lot because your video is very clear and helping. Glad it's helpful. Now, I would like to know how to fill out the travel document. Please, could you make video about it for me? Candy, thank you for the request. I already actually do have the video on how to fill out the application for the travel document. Check it out. It is on this channel. I can't think off the top of my head right now what the name of that video is, but it has to be I'm pretty sure it's form I-131. Let me double check. Let's see, form I-1, is it here on the main? No, it's not. Well, let's go to all forms. And 131, is it? Yes, it is. Application for travel document. There you go. So the video should be called I-131 application for travel document, and then probably something else. But yes, I do have it uploaded to this channel. Check it out, and hopefully that will be helpful for you as well. All right, let's move on to the next one from AYAC 7031. Hi sir, my brother's F1 visa application was refused in 2021. Do you have any idea how to apply for an interview again? AYAC, I'm very sorry about that. So It was back in 2012. 2012. I said 2012. 2012. So it was quite a long time ago. It's 12 years ago. So I'm assuming your brother went through the whole process of the I-130, and then when the interview was scheduled, he went for an interview, and during the interview, the visa was refused. I have never seen someone waiting so long. Well, if he filed in 2012 and it's F1, then he had his interview probably about what? 2-3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. Again, visa bulletin, it moves sporadically, so it's a rough estimate. I don't think you can reschedule the interview. It depends. It really depends. What was the reason for the refusal? Do you know why they refused? Because most of the times when you get, and I do have the video on this channel, it might be helpful for you. Whenever it comes to the Board of Appeal, it's called BOA, Board of Appeal, how to, something along those lines. It's on this channel. Whenever it comes to refusals, denials, you have to closely look at the documentation they give you, because they have to provide a letter or whatever saying the reason. Not exactly the specific reason, but at least a brief explanation of why there was a refusal, why there was some kind of denial. And why this is so important is because at the end it gives you the options, whether you can appeal, whether you can ask for reconsideration, or if there's anything that you can do in order to satisfy whatever requirements that you are not able to meet during the interview. So you have to look at that. But because it was so long ago, because it was a petition from 2012, and from what it looks like now, judging by what the priority date for F1, and it is in 2015, so 3 years difference with what your brother has. So I would assume that the interview was about 3 years ago. Since it was that long ago, I don't think you have much options to reschedule the interview or do something along those lines, unless the case is maybe still with NVC. You can redo the documentary qualification process, or whatever it is happened. So you really need to figure out what happened. If you can give me more details, no personal information obviously, but at least the reasoning behind this refusal, I would try to help you out better. And yeah, hopefully you can resolve the situation. All right, let's move on to the next one. From Alisa Mart. Alisa, thank you so much for being publicly subscribed. Appreciate that. Hello, I'm applying for an IR1 visa for my French husband. He has a priority date of September 2022, and I have been documentarily qualified since March 2024. Congratulations. All right, but I don't understand the visa bulletin because it says they are on visa from October 2015. Does that mean we will be waiting for about 7 years before they current on the visas from 2022? How long can I expect to wait before our visa interview is scheduled? Alisa, so the good news is that you don't have to deal with the visa bulletin at all. You don't need to look at it. You don't even need to think about it, because your husband is in immediate relative category. You're a US citizen petitioning for your husband, and that puts him in immediate relative category, which means that his immigrant visa has been available since whenever the USCIS I-130 petition was approved by USCIS. So because he's already documentarily qualified, March 2024, the interview is already most likely scheduled. Usually they schedule it within a month in immediate relative category. If the immigrant visa is available after you become documentarily qualified, within a month, because once the case is documentarily qualified, they forward it to the US Embassy, and then US Embassy within a month, usually within a couple of weeks, but months most, they schedule the interview. Now, I'm assuming he's going to be going through the embassy somewhere in France, through US Embassy somewhere in France, which I don't get a lot of comments from people in France. So I'm assuming it's the US Embassy in France is not as busy as the embassies around the world. Which means that you're looking at potentially, I would say, a year most for the wait. You've been waiting now from March, and now it's July, so March, April, May, June, July, so about 3-4 months. So the most probably you're looking at is another 8 months. It's possible that your husband will have his interview by the end of this year, but if not by the end of this year, sometime early 2025, I think he should be looking at interview. Again, it might be even sooner because, like I said, I have not gotten a single comment from anyone going through the US Embassy in France. So yeah, and what you can do, because it's been already a few months, you can definitely have your husband reach out to the US Embassy in France. Let me see if I can locate it and see where it's at. EF, there you go. Yeah, France, I never even clicked on it. Oh, US Embassy in Paris, and that looks like their phone number, but if it's not their phone number, usually you can just click on the embassy itself and scroll all the way down, and a lot of times their contact information, yep, there you go. Yeah, it looks like it's the same phone number. So just reach out. Your husband can call them and say, hey, I'm in the immediate relative category. I was already documentarily qualified 4 months ago. Just wanted to see when my interview was scheduled for. A lot of times they say, no, we can't give you that information. But there's a chance, because it's unofficial announcement of the interview, they can look into the system and say, hey, it is scheduled for whenever, November 2024. If they can't say that, maybe they can say, well, right now we are looking at about 6 months wait for people in the immediate relative category. So you can do some calculation. If it is 6 months wait and it's been already 4 months, so there's another 2 months. But if they don't give any information, if they say no, we can't, it really depends on who you get on the phone. Don't be upset. Just, be polite, be professional. It's pointless to argue with government authorities. But it's definitely worth a shot. So I'll give you this link right here. And yeah, so thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Hopefully this video was helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, don't hesitate to ask them. Just make sure not to post your questions. Don't respond to my comment within your comment, because YouTube does not show me those notifications. Just submit it as a separate comment on this video or any of the videos on this channel, and your comment will appear here, and I will be able to address it in one of the next one of these Q&A videos. So again, thank you very much for watching. God bless, and I'll see you all in the next video.